All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another interview with another success story from another great applicant. Michelle, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Everyone who's not here right now, since this isn't a live thing. But Michelle, I would love for you to be able to share your journey and your awesome story for being a pre-PT and where you've decided to go to PT school.
Sure. Hi, I'm Michelle. I am currently a fourth year student at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I've known for a long time that I wanted to be a physical therapist in the future. But along the way, I kind of struggled with some self-doubt and just imposter syndrome and everything in between throughout the application process. Um, but eventually I found my way and I found some great mentors. Um, and I will be attending University of Southern California in the fall.
Awesome. How does that feel to actually say that and to have it be a real thing?
I think that might have been the first time I've said that out loud.
All right.
Yeah, it's definitely shocking. It's a dream come true. Before I never thought that this would have been possible. So this was definitely a surprise. Um, but it's really nice knowing that um, I essentially made it. My family members are really proud of me, and I'm proud of myself. And it's really nice to kind of have this weight lifted off my shoulders.
For sure, for sure. And what a nice feeling to have like that sense of direction, right? Like we got the next 3 years figured out. This is what we're doing, right? And
Yeah.
have some consistency with that. So, a couple different questions. I want to first talk about why you chose USC's program. What made them stick out to you?
Um, well, part of the reason was family pressure, but I definitely don't mind because it's really close to home, and it's a name that my family recognizes, and they can brag to their friends. It's just I figured that because it's kind of ranked one of the highest or best PT programs, I would have better access to kind of just opportunities in general. And I think that it would set me up for success in the future. Uh, yeah, I know that it is one of the more costly programs, but I'm fortunate enough to be able to receive help from my parents as well.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I think this just goes to show like you didn't blindly go to USC and were like, didn't acknowledge that, yeah, there's a price tag that goes along with that. But you plan for it and you have options that work for you. It's the
Mm-hmm.
applicants who kind of just show up and they're like, okay, like, yeah, I'll go to that program, and they don't do their due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones I have a hard time with, because it's just, if you don't have a way out, that's a tough hill to climb, right?
Definitely.
So for you, it works out, and you've got a plan, you've got a way to go forward with it, and that's what matters to me. And there's a reason why lots of people really respect USC. They come out with a lot of great research. A lot of the clinicians I've worked with from there are good. They're solid. And other people from other programs, same type of thing. And you also have bozos from other programs. It's just
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, right? But I think that's great, and I'm excited for you to choose that program and to go somewhere where you're excited to go.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now let's jump into imposter syndrome, self doubt. Okay. So when did that first start happening?
It's happened on and off, especially throughout my college career. But especially during this past year because I wasn't expecting to graduate on time this spring. So um, last spring, when I did finally realize that I could graduate on time, I was rushing to get all of my classes in. And then I was like, oh, if I'm graduating on time, might as well also apply to PT schools. But then I was like, oh, my GPA is not the best. my pre-health counselor was like, oh, your GPA is not a 3.5. It's not competitive enough. Like, just take some gap years, retake classes. And I was like, I don't think my GPA is too bad. So I went around to different people. I asked for advice, and a couple of them told me the same thing as my counselors did. But I found one professor that was like, I think you can do it. And I just went with that all the way. But even then, I was still lost. I didn't really have guidance. I didn't have friends who were going through the application process at the same time or have gone through it. So I was kind of paving the way for myself. And that was really stressful. On top of that, like, there was stress from family, just because physical therapy wasn't their first choice for me to go into. And also, just the pandemic in general, it was super stressful. And then during the application process, reflecting back on all of my past experiences, accomplishments, I was thinking, I was like, oh, like, I got here by luck. I didn't deserve all this. But definitely having a support system to pull me out of that funk was definitely necessary.
For sure. For sure. No, thank you for being willing to be transparent about that experience, because I think I remember a lot of those feelings myself when I was getting ready to apply, because you devote so much time and energy and attention to one thing, and then it comes time to do that thing, and you ask yourself, all like, am I ready for this? Right? Like, did I do enough? And it is hard to take that jump and to take the plunge. And I've also had some experiences with my family that they're like, why do you want to do that? It costs a lot, or they don't make a ton of money and all this stuff. And how do you respond when you're already like questioning yourself, and then people are like throwing more doubt on the fire, and you're like, oh man, this is not good. So I love what you said though. You have to reach out, and there's going to be, even if you reach out to people who you think would support you, sometimes they may give you feedback that isn't real optimistic. And it's obviously important to look at for mentors who are going to shoot you straight, but also give you hope that you can do this, right? Mm-hmm. So with that being said, how'd you find out about Physical Therapy Application Coach?
So in that whole process of kind of figuring everything out, I was doing some searches on like Instagram, trying to find just kind of mentors in general. I like searched hashtag physical therapy and stuff like that. And I eventually stumbled upon your page, and I realized that your posts seemed kind of familiar, and I think I saw them before on my school's PT/OT club. Okay. I think you shared those posts before. Yeah. But that club ended up like not being active anymore, and I just restarted it. So
good job. Good for you.
Yeah. And ultimately I found you, as well as some other coaches as well, but I kind of figured that you would be the best coach for me, simply because I really appreciated how you kind of offered advice to those who even weren't paying for your services. And you were just like super transparent and just kind of genuine as a person. And I really appreciated that. And I was like, I need him as my mentor.
Thank you. That makes me feel great. I'm trying to do those things, because it is hard when you have people just, they come in and they want help, and I'm more than happy to help answer. But if I did that all day, man, there's no time. So I do like to offer you advice, but as soon as you commit and say, hey, let's do some formal coaching, then we take it up a whole nother level, and we give you as much personalized planning, care, attention as possible. And for you, I didn't even know about your GPA situation. I knew you were taking the GRE and studying for that while we were like coaching. But for you, I looked at, okay, what are your goals? What do you want to do? What schools do you want to go to? Let's have at it. And we went to town on your essays, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, why do you feel like people should use this service? How do you feel like it's beneficial?
Well, I actually went to a couple of people to kind of look over my essays at first before I found you. And the advice they gave me was kind of just like, oh, just fix up your grammar. And I was like, I don't think that my essay is that good, but I don't know how to change it. And no one was really like giving me the advice on how to do that. So when I found you and you were working through my essays with me, I was like, this is an essay that I'm proud of. This is something that I would share with the application committees, as well as, just my family and friends. Like, this is something that I'm proud of. And I don't think I could have done that without your help.
Well, thanks. And thank you for being willing to approach me about it, because it is kind of it's a vulnerable situation, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're looking for help and there's a lot going on, and you're like, I don't know if this is going to be worth my time or my money, but here we go. And I think that's the question that a lot of people have. And for my goal is with every applicant, I want them to have the exact response that you did. I want them to be proud of their essay, and for it to be like this culmination of their application process where they get to look back and be like, wow, like, I've come so far and I deserve to apply and to get into these schools. And that can sometimes help people overcome that imposter syndrome or feeling like that self-doubt, all those type of things, because you realize I have put in the work, I put in the time, and I'm a pretty awesome person and I deserve to get a shot. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that perspective, because that's my end goal. And that means everything to me when someone who's successfully navigated it and took it seriously like you did and put in the work and put in the time to get a good essay was able to reach your goal and go somewhere that you're excited about.
I would also just like to butt in and say that I knew that my GPA was one of the kind of weaker parts of my application. In fact, one of my science GPA was below the quote unquote minimum for USC. And I think that my essay was what really bolstered my application and ultimately got me that acceptance despite my GPA. So
for sure.
Thank you again.
Hey, no problem. Because it does, like, there's no doubt about it. You need to do the best you can in school, right? Like, everybody has that. But if you come to the point where you're like, I feel pretty confident, or you have like a gut instinct of let's go for this, and then you give them the best essay possible, that might be what you need to put you over the top. And in your case, it definitely helped contribute. And I'm sure there's, you've got all kinds of different community service experiences and different shadowing hours, things like that come together to make the whole picture of who you are as an applicant. But the essay can make or break your application depending on how you go about it and how seriously you take it. So for sure. And thank you for sharing that again. So Michelle, what advice would you give to pre-PTs in the future?
I'd say find the people who believe in you and believe in yourself and just go with it.
Love it. Let's put it on a bumper sticker. No, that's great. That's great. Well, Michelle, we wish you all the best of luck going forward. We'll have to do a little update, maybe like end of your first semester, and see how things are going or something.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun to follow some of you guys that we've posted on here. And thank you again for taking the time, and best of luck with everything going forward. Have a great 2021. Hopefully it's a little bit less crazy than 2020 was.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sean.